Hey everybody, it's me, Zach. This is Potato, and welcome back to our channel. Hey everybody, it's me, Zach, and I am back again, because we are here today to celebrate and review and recap the Season 4 premiere of the critically acclaimed, soon-to-be in the future nominated for an Emmy, the 1,000 Pound Sisters, TLC's amazing show. Reality television show starring my favorites, Amy and Tammy Slayton. Now, Bessies, if you didn't know, I cover these two girlies since long before they were ever on the 1,000 Pound Sisters. I have an entire playlist that includes non-TLC content about the Slaytons, but also a recap of every single episode of this show that has ever aired. Yes, I have been doing this now for 4 seasons. Well, this will be the 4th season. So if you ever want to catch up on anything that happened in the old seasons, of course, go check those out. I have a whole playlist, and I'll leave it linked in both the iCards and in a pinned comment down below. I also do, by the way, cover the 1,000 Pound Best Friends, which is another TLC show. Not quite as popular as the sisters, but still a great time. And I've also recapped all of those episodes as well. A new season of that just started literally a couple weeks ago. They're running on air right now, side by side. So twice a week you're gonna get 1,000 Pound Cinematic Universe updates from me, Zachary Michael, and whichever one of my dogs happens to be here at the time. So I'm in my full 1,000 Pound Sisters uniform. I got this shirt. People always ask me in my other videos where this shirt is from, but if you're a real 1,000 Pound Sisters fan, you know that Michael wore this last season to a birthday party for Gage, and I had to get it, so I got it off of Amazon. And I also have my Diet Soda earrings as a callback to the very first season when they talked about drinking Diet Soda because it burned sugar or whatever it was, the silly things that the girls said about drinking Diet Sodas. So yes, I'm very excited. I'm a big fan of both Amy and Tammy. A lot of people call me a Tammy Slayton apologist, but I think I apologize for both of them a lot because I genuinely do love them as people. I think they've made mistakes like lots of people, but I find them both to be very endearing, and I love this show so much. So my plan for today is I want to give you a little bit of a recap of things that have happened since Season 3 aired, just in case you haven't been keeping up. I have done a few videos, I think it's only been like 3 or 4 since Season 3 stopped airing, about things that have happened in the lives of Amy and Tammy. Some of them might be considered spoilers, because I'm guessing at some point some of these things will be covered on the actual show this season. So if you don't want to be spoiled, I will give some timestamps so you could just skip ahead to my recap of today's episode. But in all honesty, I don't know how much of these are really spoilers, because, I mean, they already happened in real time. And the only reason I know that they happened is because either Amy or Tammy posted on their own social media. I also have to say I made videos about these things too, so if you want a more in-depth look at what happened with those things, or these things I'm about to talk about, you can find those all on the playlist as well, in case you want more information, because this is gonna be a real quick recap. So for Amy, Season 3 ended on her trying to get pregnant. We saw her and Michael taking pregnancy tests, but while Season 3 was airing, we actually did find out that Amy was in fact pregnant. Like, she posted an announcement about it while Season 3 was still on the air. And since Season 3 stopped airing, she actually did have her second child. His name is Glenn, and I assume at some point we will see that on this season of the 1,000 Pound Sisters. Another thing that happened is that Amy and Michael's dog, Lilbit, the little chihuahua that I loved so much. In fact, I had a segment every time I did a recap of one of these episodes where I had a little bit shot of the week, because they were always including just like the cutest little shots of Lilbit. And unfortunately, since Season 3 stopped airing, Lilbit did in fact pass away. I'm not sure if they're gonna include this as a part of season 4. I'm gonna be sad if they don't, but after watching the first episode, there were no shots of Lilbit nor any mention of where Lilbit might be. So I don't know, maybe that is something we'll get. Maybe they don't have time to cover it with all the other things happening with the girlies. But I would love for the show to like honor Lilbit in some kind of way. So I'm hoping we might get to see something about that. I think it would be appreciated by the fans of the show. And then when it comes to Tammy, we left off the end of the last season with her being rushed to the hospital. Now, we did know that she was going to be fine and make it through it because she actually also posted on social media like a few weeks before the last episode aired, explaining that she had just been in like a medically induced coma essentially and explaining what happened. She got carbon dioxide poisoning, which is different from carbon monoxide. I feel like I have to say that every time because people think carbon monoxide, they think of like different ways that people try to self-harm and things like that, or like unalive themselves using carbon monoxide as a way, and it was carbon dioxide. She couldn't get the carbon dioxide to leave her lungs, and so she got poisoning from it, which led to her being septic and all kinds of other things that they do sort of explain at the beginning of today's episode. Since then, she has been in rehab. I believe she's still there currently as we speak, as far as I know. I haven't seen anything else on her social media to suggest otherwise. Since then, I also did a video where the BBW King was visiting her at the rehab center. I'm not really sure what happened with that because he's seemingly not in the picture anymore with her, but I'm curious if that's going to end up in this season because they were like going live on TikTok and things like that. And since that happened, she has actually met a man and married him. The wedding announcement was also what TLC used to announce that a new season of 1,000 Pound Sisters was even coming. So she did marry a man named Caleb, and she met him through the rehab center. So they seem to be in like a similar situation when it comes to their health and weight and things like that. She also, as you find out in this episode, has a trach and has had a trach for a while. But actually, I saw recently on social media that she had her trach removed. So that feels very promising for me where this season is going to go. And from all the pictures and content she's put on social media since the last season aired, like whether it was from her wedding or whatever it might be, I actually feel like it looks like she has made a lot of progress in terms of losing weight. Like I think you can visibly see that. So I'm feeling like really hopeful for her this season. The other thing I wanted to know is I always joke about the Emmy Award-winning television show 1,000 Pound Sisters, but they did really actually win an American Reality TV Award situation type of deal. Not quite the Emmys, but they won an award for the like guilty pleasure show. Actually, after I posted the last video, I think about Tammy's wedding announcement, Amy actually sent me a DM with a picture of the award and was like, Zach, just so you know, we did win an award. But outside of that, we didn't really get a lot of social media updates from other people in their family, like Chris and Amanda and Misty. And for the most part, the three of them tend to stay off of social media. Like, I don't see them post anything, or maybe I'm just not following the right accounts. So I don't have any real big updates about them for you. And I will say, if you forget about anything else that happened in the last season of 1,000 Pound Sisters, TLC does give a good recap at the beginning of today's episode so that you can get kind of like reminded of the things that were most important that happened in season 3. So now that I've given you like a 10-minute long recap that I thought was going to be much shorter, let's get into today's episode. So I have to say, honestly, I was kind of nervous when the episode started off because it was very serious, as it should be, okay? But the tone was very serious because they were picking up where the last season left off. And the last season left off with Tammy being in horrible medical condition and people not being sure what was really going to happen after that. Now, granted, because we follow Tammy on social media, we knew she was fine, but it was a lot to watch. It was a lot to take in, and I don't know. I think it's maybe because I'm going to be 34 in a couple weeks. Like, I feel like every year I get a little bit, like, weaker when it comes to, like, my crybaby tears, because I literally was crying I was literally crying as they were like doing Tammy's update, and they were just all talking about how like, you know, she had managed to escape death now like 3 or 4 times, and you know, she actually, when they were like interviewing her in her little confessional situation type of deal, like she looked like she really felt it. Like this was really rock bottom for her. And I don't know, y'all know I'm a Tammy Slayton apologist, and I do love Tammy, even though she, especially in season 3, was not a great person. Like did not treat her family members well, didn't treat most of the people around her well. But you know, she's a person just like anybody else, and I want the best for everybody. And so seeing her in such like a difficult state, I don't know, it got me. It got me, gal. So she didn't remember any of her time in the hospital until she woke up from the coma. Her first memory of waking up was like texting her siblings group chat and like sending them a picture and being like, hey, hi, hello, it's me. And Tammy really does consider this like her rock bottom.
I think me hitting my rock bottom has opened my eyes. Don't understand why God saved me again. This is why I didn't want to do this.
And when she said that she didn't understand why God saved her again, I think when we're talking about the tears coming out, I think that was it. I think that was it, because I think like, I don't know, it just reiterated to me how much it's clear that up until this point, Tammy didn't have a lot of hope for herself, you know? And I think where we saw her in season 3, like, we all saw that she was at her rock bottom, but I feel like it's like now hit her. Like, there's only so many more times that I can make it through something like this. And I don't know, it just felt like she didn't feel like she was worthy of that, and that makes me sad, because, you know, I don't know, I feel like everybody's worthy of living a life well lived, and I just want that for her. I also have to say the other hard part about this very first little scene of the episode was also them cleaning out and swabbing out her trach. And I understand why they did that, because it's like an important part of like other things they talk about in the episode, but I'm not great with the medical situation types of deals, y'all. Actually, anytime I've ever gone into a hospital, like, I get nauseous just walking into the place. So, it's surprisingly, maybe to y'all, because I watch shows like this where they show medical procedures of, like, weight loss surgery and stuff all the time. Surprisingly, the stuff is very hard for me to watch, okay? Like, hospitals and stuff related to hospitals aren't my gig. Which, like, completely unrelated makes me think about how Mary Crosby on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City told Jen Shaw she smelled like hospital. But that's really unrelated, so my apologies.
What do you want me to do? Not say you smell like hospital when she gets both legs amputated.
I'm sorry, but Jen and her entire crew smell like hospital. Yeah.
So the next thing we do is check in with Amy, Michael, and their son Gage. And Amy is going to get her hair done. Besties, she is trying to look like your pal Zachary Michael. She wants a fashion color. She wants to look good. And most importantly, she wants to be attracted to herself.
I don't feel all right with my normal colored hair, so why not make myself more attracted to myself and get a new hair color?
I was like, okay, girl, work. Yes, you know, maybe that's why I keep dyeing my hair all these funky colors. I'm just trying to remind myself that I'm attractive as fuck. So get after it, Amy. You go, girl. I do also love that she lets Gage pick the color. Like, that's how she decides what color to go with. And I also appreciate during this scene, they let us see some classic, which I've seen, I think, most of these videos that they shared clips from, but some classic Amy Slayton YouTube content.
Looks good when it's like this.
I love this. Got my little hat on today.
I feel so fancy.
I just appreciated seeing it in there because I honestly feel like Amy and Tammy are so far removed from being YouTubers at this point. Like, if they try to make it a thing that, like, they're still making YouTube content and stuff on season 4, it's like, who are you all kidding? I mean, Amy does still post some stuff every once in a while, but it's usually just stuff that she gets, like, sent in her P.O. box and stuff like that. It's rarely actually, like, her content that she got big on YouTube for. And Amy also talks about how people confuse her for Tammy a lot as well, which I thought was funny.
I don't think we look anything alike. They need to go get their ass checked. 'Cause I don't look like that bitch. She's like Sasquatch.
I have to agree. I think some people need to get their eyes checked, but I will say I have been known to switch up Amy and Tammy's names. And I think it's less to do with me thinking they're one another and just like the names being very similar. Like having the same letters, just Tammy has a T and an extra M, you know what I'm saying? So in my head, I switch those back and forth a lot. And they use this hair dyeing scene to reveal what I shared earlier in this video, which is that Amy is pregnant again. And y'all won't believe how our girl knew she was pregnant this time.
It was like, babe, I haven't pooped in 3 weeks. I'm pregnant. That's how it went.
Yes, indeed, my favorite shitting, pissing, and farting channel is back on TLC, besties. If you thought we weren't going to talk about poop and farts and pissing, you thought wrong. And we also get a little bit of a reminder that Amy is done and fed up with being any kind of caregiver for Tammy. And it seems that's going to be another theme this season where we're continuing to look at how Amy is just like over taking care of her sister. And in fact says like if something would have happened to Tammy, it would have felt more like losing a kid than it would a sister because she's basically taking care of her for so long. And I do think that's interesting because it seems like the other siblings throughout this episode seem to just be like, this is a wake-up call and we really care about Tammy and we want to be there for her. And I don't want to say that Amy didn't look at this as a wake-up call, but more so just like, it just further confirmed that like she's frustrated with where things are with Tammy, you know what I'm saying? But it is interesting that like it didn't make Amy want to be closer to Tammy, but it seems to have just like further pushed her away from Tammy. The only other thing I have to say is that it was so silly that TLC, this whole confessional for this scene, every time Amy would be in her little confessional situation, it was so clear that they put a filter over this girlie's hair because you could still see the blue on the edges, TLC. You're not slick.
If you go down, you dead.
The next scene is Chris, Amanda, Misty, and Amy and Michael all getting together to play some putt-putt golf. And we get a little update from Chris. It's been 6 months since he had his weight loss surgery. And he is 95 pounds down, and he is bringing sexy back.
And by God, I'm 95 pounds down and bringing sexy back.
Somebody lied to him about the sexy thing.
And honestly, Chris and or everybody on this show is trying to give the girlies from 1,000 Pound Besties a run for their money with sexual innuendos because he talks about some sexy times with Brittany, his wife.
I'm just glad I can touch my toes and put my own damn socks on.
I know Brittany's happy about that too.
I bet she's benefiting from it too.
Oh God, I don't even want Moving on.
So I can't wait. If we're going to be a piss and shitting and farting and a sexy times television show, we're in for a great season. And Amy and Michael waltz up, and Amy's wearing this yellow dress with her blue hair.
You look like a bruised banana.
And personally, I love her hair. I think it looks great, but also, of course, I would. I literally had blue hair once upon a time as well. And speaking of the innuendos, you know, you can't play putt-putt golf without talking about how to use a pole.
I knew exactly where my pole was going, okay?
She knows how to work a pole.
So they all sit down to have some lunch, and of course, like, everybody's making poor food choices, because I don't know, you can't have a show like this on TLC where you don't show fat people eating lots of food, so they included that in there. And then they had a more important segment where Amanda talked about wanting to get a group of them together to go see Tammy. Tammy's rehab is in Ohio. It's not close to where they live, so it is a trek for them to get there. Amy talks about not really wanting to go. I think actually a good chunk of it is because she's a pregnant mom. She has a toddler and she's pregnant, and so making a long car trip is not something she really wants to do. But I do think another large part of it is that she's just tired of Tammy, or at least that's what the show tries to make it out to be, is that like she doesn't want to go deal with Tammy's nonsense, she's tired of it, and she doesn't want to go. Now what I hope is that, you know, she'll hear back from like Chris and Amanda that the trip was really good, that Tammy was on her best behavior, things like that, which we'll get into that in just a bit. But I'm hoping like Amy will have a change of heart about Tammy and find her way to go see her sister. Because the next scene we see is Amy and Tammy having a FaceTime call. Amy's like, you never really know what you're gonna get with Miss Tammy.
You never know what Tammy you're gonna get. You can get the nice Tammy, the bitch, or the one that just ain't gonna talk at all.
And we also get a little bit of a piss update from Amy as well.
Being pregnant, I go probably like 10, 20, 30 times a day, just peeing.
Like, this show is so ridiculous. This is like, how much time does this show... I like, need to go do the math and see how much time this show really, truly gives to bodily functions, because it is out of control. But Amy wants to show off her blue hair, and when she does, Tammy says that she looks like a Dr. Seuss character.
Why you look like a Dr. Seuss character?
All right, who knows the hair?
And I just have missed the way with words that Amy has. Like, the way she uses words, it cracks me the fuck up. But in this scene, it's so clear that Gage and Tammy do have some kind of special bond. Like, Gage is so excited to even just see her through a FaceTime call. And the way that Tammy talks about Gage, it's clear that he is really important to her, which I just do appreciate, because whenever Gage first came into the picture, the show really tried to paint it out like Tammy was jealous and things like that. And I don't know, that just like never really sat right with me. So I'm glad that they're showing a more like loving relationship between them now. But Tammy gets upset because it's clear that Amy has no intentions of coming to visit, and Tammy does take that personally because she really does like care about Gage and want to see Gage, and she feels like Amy's keeping him from seeing her. So a week later, we get the scene where Chris and Amanda go up to see Tammy and visit her. And I am curious that, like, Misty wasn't scolded for not going to visit Tammy. Like, I was under the impression that it was all the siblings that were going, but we didn't see anything about Misty getting scolded for not going. And I really feel like that's probably because it seems like Misty isn't trying to be a huge part of the show. It seems like Amanda's a much larger part of the show this season, but it seems like Misty's not as much, so they probably didn't include anybody scolding her for not going. It also probably doesn't fit with the plot line either of Amy and Tammy having tension. And I think both Amanda and Chris have a lot of reservations in going to see her. They haven't seen her since she left the hospital initially. And it seems like they're a little bit worried about her having a bad attitude, and they are very clear that, like, if she gets a bad attitude, they're going to let her know their serious concerns that they have for her. And they do some of that anyways, even though she doesn't have a bad attitude. Like, Chris emphasizes, like, normal people don't get this many chances.
As a normal person only cheats death once.
I'm not normal.
You damn right you're not. Yeah, I know 3 or 4 times you done cheated death.
And honestly, it seems like Tammy truly is on board with that and agrees. Like, she agrees, like, there's not going to be many more chances after this, and she's got to do something about it. She claims that she's not the same person she was before all of this happened, and that she's really going to try to get her surgery and make some progress. Also, during this part, they did show, and this is really just for context for y'all, if you ever see clips or anything from the show and you're confused, like, why she can't talk. So, apparently, like, you can take the trach on and off and, like, switch to other things that help her with her breathing and things like that. I don't know a lot about it. I'm not a medical professional. But there's, like, a cap that has to be on the part that goes into her throat for her to be able to talk. So there's some scenes in this episode where that cap is not on and she can't fully communicate because she can't talk. The other thing that happens during this is apparently Tammy asked Chris if he could bring some flowers to the nursing staff that's been taking care of Tammy. So he does that and they're grateful for it, and they actually share that they enjoyed working with Tammy, that they enjoy having her there, which I think is important and fascinating because y'all know my battle, especially last season, especially in season 3, with these like gossip sites on the internet that were just like reporting ridiculous, unfounded things where they were saying that like Tammy hated the rehab facility people and treated them poorly, and you know they didn't want her to come back and that's why she had to leave rehab or things like that. You know, I think aspects of that could have been true, right? Even in this episode, Chris says, you know, like the last time she was there, she didn't like the staff all that much. But I appreciate them taking the time to show that she is appreciating the staff these days and things like that, because I know a lot of people are prepared to say that Tammy is like the worst human being in the world and treating everybody poorly, which, like, I don't know. Also, there wasn't any proof one way or the other when this happened last season, right? Like, nobody, it was just people alleging things. And so it's good to see, regardless of what happened in the last season or the last time she was there, that they all seem to be on a good page together this go around. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I feel like I talked myself in some circles there, but all I really wanted to say is that I feel like it's nice to see that she's treating the staff well. You know what I'm saying? So the show fast forwards a few weeks and we see Tammy trying to get up with some of the staff at the rehab facility to try walking, but before she gets to her walk, she's gotta let out a burp.
It's still hurting. Okay. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
So not only is this a pissing, shitting, and farting television show, it's also a burping television show. Here we go. Let's fucking go. After she does her little walk, we get to see her with Dr. Daddy Smith, who you might recall replaced Daddy Proctor after Tammy couldn't travel to him during COVID and things like that. Tammy gives him an update that she is now 620 pounds, and I think they allude to that meaning she lost like 100 pounds, and he said that that was great progress, but also a lot of it probably was because of her medical situation and some of the medicines that she was currently on that were making her lose water weight and things like that. So he wants her to keep up the good work and get down to 550 pounds before they move forward with any kind of weight loss surgery, anything. And Tammy seems to think that's achievable and has a really good attitude about it with him. So I'm feeling very optimistic about it, honestly, truly. I really am. Like, Tammy's whole demeanor in this whole episode is so different than she's ever been on this show, if I'm being quite honest with you. She was clearly much more reserved, much more, I don't know, humble doesn't feel like the word, but that's the word I'm going to use. And she seemed genuine when she said she was going to really work on these things. Now, I might have to eat my words later if she doesn't actually follow through on things, but that was just the vibes I was getting. So then the episode takes us back to Amy and Michael, and we find out that Michael's mom is watching Gage so that they can have a night to themselves. a lovely romantic evening alone where Amy's gonna make Michael go and buy her a bunch of food. And I do recall when she was pregnant with Gage that she used her pregnancy to defend a lot of her poor eating choices and things like that, which I find to be interesting. And I know a lot of people had a lot of feelings about the first go around, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of strong feelings again towards Amy and how she is or isn't taking care of the unborn child that she is pregnant with. This go around, she seems to have some even weirder cravings.
With this pregnancy, I craved Chinese fried rice with strawberry syrup or pizza with garlic powder and dill pickles. Maybe it was caramel on top.
Like, if you go to my playlist, I did a video where I tried out a lot of her pregnancy cravings from the first go around, and none of them involved putting strawberry syrup on, like, fried rice or caramel syrup on pizza. So they drive to a gas station. This is their romantic evening, okay? They drive to the gas station. Amy stays in the car, calls Michael on the phone, and directs him around the gas station to get the things that she wants.
Can you go in and go get my stuff? My fat, pregnant ass ain't getting out of this car.
That is not the right kind. Take it back. I want the red kind.
Okay.
The nacho. You got any bigger bags?
One of those things included a can of Easy Cheese, and she takes a shot of it.
I ain't gonna poop for a month.
Popping hot?
Why do I have to crave that makes me constipated?
Woo, girl, the amount of dairy you eat, like, you really aren't gonna poop for a month. And she also lets us know that she'll worry about not being morbidly obese after she has the second child. So that's fascinating to me. I don't know. I think that actually, a lot of people who have struggled with weight and stuff like that can relate to that even if they haven't been pregnant, right? There's always something that, like, your weight loss can wait until something is over. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, well, after this weekend, we'll worry about that. After this holiday, we'll worry about that. After this trip, we'll worry about that. So, I don't know. I think that's interesting, and I know the reason a lot of people will have feelings about it is because when you are having a kid, when you're pregnant, like, what nutrients you put into your body are the nutrients that your child is getting. And so I know a lot of people have strong feelings about that. But the good news is that she did end up eventually giving birth and having a happy, healthy child, okay? So just keep that in mind. Amy is a human, and humans have cravings, you know? I don't know. I don't know. I not me switching from a Tammy Slayton apologist to an Amy Slayton apologist. And then the episode ends with Tammy at the rehab facility. They show a little bit of, like, the routine of getting her tucked into bed. They also show, like, the part with the trach that I was talking about earlier where they take it off so she can't really communicate. And they also show in the middle of the night where an alarm goes off, and it goes off because she's not getting adequate oxygen, she's not breathing, and it's because she had something caught in her trach. Specifically, in Tammy's words, a booger.
So basically, it's a booger. That's that.
But it seems like they get that sorted out, and honestly, it wasn't much of a cliffhanger as they normally do on the 1,000 Pound Sisters. Like, everything was resolved at the end of the episode, so I'm fascinated that, you know, that's how it ended. That's not what I was expecting. And that's that. Honestly, usually I watch the previews for the next week, but I don't know if I remember seeing them. Like, when I was watching on Discovery Plus, I feel like it went straight into auto-playing the next episode of some show it wanted me to watch. So I don't know what's in store for next week because I didn't see anything. But maybe I just wasn't looking correctly. But I don't know. We'll just have to wait until next week, won't we? Anyways, I enjoyed the first episode. As heart-wrenching as some parts were, as funny as some parts were, it was a good mix of everything. I'm so excited for this new season, and I will be covering it as long as it's airing. So get excited, and if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe down below. I'll be doing the 1,000 Pound Sister updates every Wednesday. That's when I'll be posting them because they air on Tuesday. And then I'll be posting recaps for 1,000 Pound Besties every Thursday. So that's what you can kind of expect from my channel probably for the next few months, honestly. Truly, we're going to have a hardcore schedule. So make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't already. Hit the bell button so you get notifications every time I post a new video. Make sure to leave me a comment, hit like, click share, and follow me on all my social media. I had so much fun today. I hope you did too, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!